I love the way that SHIB has bounced back over the last 24 hours. We're obviously still pretty low in terms of price compared to where we had been just a few weeks ago, but it's very promising to see SHIB bounce back with such gusto. Right now, we're sitting on the edge of trend. We're seeing the start of a green day. That's a great sign here. And I want to talk about where SHIB is at, what we might be fighting against. Do want to talk about a few other things that we have never discussed before. And I also want to address a comment from a viewer as well. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So there's definitely been some ups and downs in price over the last 24 hours. We know that overnight on Friday, we dealt with some dumping. We dealt with some liquidations again across the crypto market. SHIB bounced back in an awesome way. Back above this longer term trend. We're fighting actually this big descending wedge that we were in. We're on the verge of a potential extension back into this. Right now, we're kind of getting sandwiched here against some of these shorter term moving averages on the hourly chart that you can see, but we still have a lot of work to do in terms of SHIB. Right now, again, what we're dealing with across the crypto market is just the market trying to get its feet under itself to show some confidence. Luckily now we have reached the weekend. We're done with the institutional selling over the last several days, or that we've been dealing with over the last several days, and the market can finally get back to a place of more organic nature. And why I'm saying that is, like I talked about in my ADA video, we've actually seen this big reduction in open interest across the crypto market. I'm losing my spot here. In terms of Shiba Inu, we're down to now only $77.5 million in open interest. Now, why that is so important is this is the lowest amount of open interest we have seen for Shiba Inu since early January. So we have done almost a full reset over the course of 2025. And what this is showing you is that not a lot of people are comfortable betting. And that's okay, because now what that means is that the organic nature of SHIB can take over. And that might sound weird, but I want to show you guys just a couple things here. And before I do that, I want to address this comment. This was from, I can't even see the name. It's really small. Market Shifter, he said, bro, you're 0 for 100 on predictions. At this point, just stop venting and drop the SHIB talk altogether. The space is already flooded with YouTubers selling hopium and misleading people into getting rugged. Nobody needs another round of your emotional, bullish, bearish swings. And first of all, I'm not emotional. I've kept emotions out of there's no place for feelings in finance. I've kept them out of the markets for over 20 years. I've been investing for a very long period of time. And that's why I don't get emotional when we have some of these drops that are 20, 30, 50, 90%. I've been through them before. They quite literally mean nothing, because how many times have we done that and bounced back in a massive way? In fact, last market cycle, I wasn't in SHIB. I was in some other assets that did this. But SHIB retraced from obviously 4088 all the way down to 5058. And guess what? It was huge opportunity. That's what these times are, is they're huge opportunities. And again, this isn't financial advice. People can do whatever the hell they want, but people look at these times the wrong way. And what you want to see, and apparently people expect me to be like a leaf in the wind and just blow around to where everything else is blowing around to. That's not what we do on the channel. I've obviously talked about SHIB every single day here on the channel since the channel was created. And the reason I keep talking about SHIB is, one, it's got a strong community that continues to grow, but two, the fundamentals remain strong. And what we're actually seeing right now is what you historically see for assets that are growing in age and size. And let's just dive right into this. I'm just going to dive right into these metrics. First of all, what people need to understand is that right now we have seen some record levels of capital inflows to exchanges over the last week. And what I mean by that is stable coins have seen about a $2 billion surge into exchanges. People are actively positioning and are actively buying the dips, picking up these cheap positions, while everybody else is trying to, a lot of people are trying to convince people that, oh, we're heading into a bear market. It's the end, blah, 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 right? And when we look at something like SHIB specifically, what we have seen is people taking control of their assets, but large holders continuing to accumulate. So for example, SHIB percentage of supply and smart contracts. So this is all the way from back in December of 2023. And what we've seen during this time is actually has dropped from about 10% of SHIB supply and smart contracts down to about 3.4%. So people are truly putting SHIB back into DeFi, into self-custody, which I think is a pretty big deal. Obviously, some people have interacted with, Shibarium shibarium and stuff like that. But again, I think it's pretty important that people have their own custody. And again, what we've witnessed during that time, and this could obviously be a sign of supply flows to exchanges as well, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing exchange supply flow continue to be out. And what we've witnessed during this week, again, and this is why I had this up, is one of the largest weeks of 2025 in terms of exchange supply outflows. So these are all check. These are some of the signs you want to see. Now, SHIB percentage of supply held by the top 1%. This has increased from 2023 into 2024. You've seen, or into 2025. I forget what year it is. We went from being at 89.8% to now 92.3%. And you guys have to remember that 40, 46, 48, whatever percentage of supply is that burn wallet. So this is kind of misleading here. But what we've seen during this time is obviously burns haven't surged. So you're watching whales actively accumulate. And during that time, what we can see by the Herefondal, hopefully it's the Herefondal index, what this shows, and I got to hide my box here so you guys can see this. This actually shows is the concentration of supply by wallets. So during this time, you're watching basically retail kind of freak out and capitulate and dump their bags. And at the same time, you're having whales accumulate. And even during this last surge that we went on, guess what? Same thing. You saw some retail capitulation, but you saw whales moving in and buying this up. This is why this continues to increase here. Look at this right here. October 10th, boop, little spike up, right? Hopefully you guys like my sound effects. And what's interesting is even during this time, as we've had a little bit of retail capitulation, you're still seeing you're still seeing wallets and holders rise. So this is historically what you see, and this is exactly what we talked about in the depths of the last bear market cycle. This is historically what you see before you go on big moves in the market, before you have certain assets explode out of nowhere. Anybody who followed me here on the channel back in 2023 into 2024, we were talking about a lot of this exact same stuff, not some of these same charts, but the exact same fundamentals right before SHIB went and did what did it do? A 4.5x in 7 days. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen today. I'm not saying that's what SHIB is doing again. Obviously, one thing we're still waiting for is new retail in the market. Unfortunately, since February, March of 2024 to now, what we've seen is a lot of the same people in the space, but a little bit of dilution in the market. So people have gotten impatient and kind of moved around the space. And people tend to do that. People have a short attention span. It kind of is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. We've just gotten to that point in history. But what this has allowed us to do now is get to a point where, frankly, the whales are going to pump SHIB, and then you're going to see a lot of retail flocking to it. And hopefully this coincides with a time where we're having an actual retail and user expansion in the crypto market. Hopefully that makes sense. And that's why I keep saying, guys, we need retail. Unfortunately, we're at a spot right now where the people in the space, they're kind of spooked because we just went through this big drop in the market. But don't ignore the strategic positioning by whales and the big entities in the space. They are always here before the moves take place. Remember, like I've said for years now, price is always the lagging metric. It's always the last thing to move. We have all this fundamental data here. We can see what's happening. And frankly, it's just a matter of time. This is why patience is the most important thing. So that's all I got for you guys. Appreciate it as always. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.